Testing, testing. 0903, the Office of Home Energy Programs Fiscal 25 EUSP Operations Plan. So let me have the folks from the Department of Human Services come up, staff, and OPC. Each of you could just introduce yourself for the That's because the mic's not on.
Okay, my name is Augustine Havanganimana. I am the Executive Director for Farmer Investment Administration at DHS.
You might want to spell that.
Yeah, you have to. You need to spell your name for the court reporter. So
I do that, yeah. First name is Augustin. Last name is Ntabaganyimana.
My name is Courtney Thomas Winterberg. I am serving as the Acting Director of the State Office of Home Energy Programs through the Leadership Transition. Courtney. Last name is Thomas-Winterberg.
Good afternoon, Chair Hoover, Commissioners. James Greger on behalf of staff. That's James. Last name Gregor. Also with staff, we have Alessandra Lee.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Nicole Zeichner on behalf of the Maryland Office of People's Counsel. That's NICOLE and then ZEICHNER.
okay, Mr. I guess you want to start, Mr. Greger, or?
Just some short comments,
Sure.
Your Honor. So, once again, good afternoon. Staff filed comments on OHEP's proposed fiscal year 2025 operations plan on September 19th. Staff supports OHEP's 2025 plan and the budget allocations outlined within that plan. Staff would like to recognize OHEP for the difficult work in transitioning to categorical eligibility. That being said, staff would note it is unclear whether OHEP will be able to fund the increased number of new participants that categorical eligibility will continue to bring in. As noted in our filed comments, OHEP received 101,756 more applications for EUSP bill assistance in fiscal year 2024 than the previous fiscal year, and it enrolled 19,427 more participants. During that same time frame, the average bill assistance dropped from $939 to $627, and the average arrearage assistance also decreased from FY23 to FY24. So for this reason, the Commission may wish to consider requesting OHEP provide quarterly participation, grant amount, and expense reports that indicate participation by poverty level and categorical eligibility by program type. Thank you, and staff is available for any questions the Commission may have.
So, any questions for staff? All right. So, actually, let me turn to OPC, and then I'll let you respond to both of them. So,
Good afternoon. OPC appreciates the opportunity to provide comments on the Office of Home Energy Programs EUSP plans for fiscal year 2025. OPC recognizes and appreciates the valuable work performed by the Office of Home Energy Programs. As we know from OPC's recent rates report, utility rates have increased dramatically over recent years. Extreme weather, including Winter Storm Elliott and the extreme periods of heat during the recent summer, have compounded the risk faced by utility customers and highlighted the importance of preventing utility terminations. Unfortunately, energy assistance programs in Maryland are significantly underfunded. The establishment of categorical eligibility for EUSP and MEEP benefits is an incredibly positive step towards reducing administrative barriers to eligibility and reaching additional customers in need of assistance. As hoped, categorical eligibility has been successful. The Office of Home Energy Programs recorded a 74.2% increase in applications between 2023 and the same period in 2024. Despite this increase, over $10 million less has been allocated for EUSP programs in fiscal year 2025 than in fiscal year 2024. OHEP has responded to this decrease in funding and increase in participation by significantly reducing the benefits available to individual customers. In fiscal year 2024, the average bill assistance benefit was $682. In fiscal year 2025, bill assistance benefits will range from $25 to a maximum of $575. In fiscal year 2024, the average arrearage retirement benefit was $1,035, while for fiscal year 2025, these benefits will range from $300 to $2,000. It is important to note that a 2022 Apprise report for OPC found that even with the application of EUSP and MEEP benefits, Maryland ratepayers with incomes under 100% of the federal poverty level still had gross energy burdens of 9%. An energy burden of 6% is generally considered to be an affordable energy burden. In addition to the valuable, even life-saving benefits realized by energy assistance customers, energy assistance programs help support the state's climate goals. As the state moves towards electrification, ratepayers may bear some increased costs, at least initially. Energy assistance programs help protect vulnerable ratepayers as these important policy goals are realized. OPC provides the following recommendations regarding OHEP's fiscal year 2025 plan. First, OPC respectfully recommends that the Commission ask OHEP to provide detailed information regarding the funding necessary to serve the additional OHEP applicants at the benefit levels awarded in fiscal year 2024. The Commission, under PUA Section 7-512.1, is charged with reporting to the General Assembly on the amount of funding necessary for OHEP's bill assistance and arrearage retirement programs. Without further information from OHEP, the Commission is unable to fully report to the General Assembly and comply with its statutory duty. This is vital information that is needed in order to develop solutions to this energy affordability crisis. Second, OPC recommends that OHEP continues to make changes that will increase accessibility and focus on outreach to applicants and potential applicants. We continue to support our recommendation from prior years that the provisions of Maryland Code Human Services Article Section 5-5A-09 be extended to all vulnerable households. OHEP's vulnerable population waiver, which defines a vulnerable household as one with a household member who is over the age of 65, under the age of 2, or medically fragile, recognizes an expanded definition of vulnerability that warrants protection. OPC applauds these changes in the law, recent changes in the law, as a critical step in expanding protection to vulnerable ratepayers, but these protections must be extended to protect all medically vulnerable applicants, regardless of age. OPC also supports the use of some of OHEP's administrative funds for updates and improvements to its website, including the clarification of restrictions regarding assistance for customers with competitive suppliers. We also recommend additional community outreach efforts by OHEP, and OPC also recommends that the Commission request that OHEP provide it with additional information on the significant decline in bill assistance application success rates between fiscal year 2023 and fiscal year 2024. OHEP has shed some light on that in its filing, but we feel that maybe some additional information would be needed for us to understand this 20% drop between the 2 years. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly at this time, additional funding may be available. I'd like to turn to a brief PowerPoint presentation which highlights the availability of additional funds from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, or RGGI auctions.
Okay, so we gonna have computer problems when we do this?
Sure.
Okay.
And I apologize, how do I? Oh, that would explain. Okay, thank you.
Oh.
And do we know where, I'm sorry. Let's see, I see in power. Let's see. I do have copies, if that would be easier. I know that this was not expected. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may approach and distribute
Yeah, no,
copies,
no,
thank you.
But, can we email it?
Yeah, we can get it filed.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so go ahead.
And I'll send Mike because you get.
Yeah, we're good, yeah. Well, I'll get one for you, don't worry.
So this PowerPoint presentation just really briefly highlights something that we discovered yesterday when evaluating the proceeds from recent Reggie auctions. And we have not yet had the opportunity to discuss this with OHEP, but we would like to note that the auctions brought in $107 million more than anticipated, which means that pursuant to State Government Article 9-20B-05, which dictates that at least 50% of the Reggie proceeds shall be credited to energy assistance accounts to be used for the Electric Universal Service Program and other electricity assistance programs in the Department of Human Services, there's roughly an additional $53 million available. We don't at this time have a position on what would be needed to obtain that money, but the money is there, and we would recommend that the Commission make note of this in its report to the General Assembly. And we would also just say that the statute references other electricity assistance programs, and I think that could be interpreted, and it's our position that that could be interpreted to include MEEP. So there is additional money here, and the PowerPoint simply highlights the multiple auctions and the additional funds that came in. The final auction is scheduled for December 4th, so with any luck, there will be even more funds available at that time. So we would like to note that. And again, we looked at this yesterday, so that's the reason for the late PowerPoint and the fact that we have not yet had the opportunity to discuss this with OHEP. In summary, by considering additional Reggie auction proceeds, providing the Commission and stakeholders with further information on the funds needed to serve all eligible customers, and making program changes to increase accessibility and further decrease application barriers, OHEP can continue to provide critical protection to Marylanders and provide protection to even more Marylanders. We thank you for your time, and I'm available for any questions.
So, any questions for OPC? Commissioner Barbe?
Mr.
Not so
Chair,
much.
What?
are we going to have opportunity to ask OHEP questions?
Well, actually, so, I was gonna have them go last after
Okay,
everybody,
that's fine.
so yeah, so. Okay.
No, just it's not a question. I just want to make note of the fact that the regulation says 50%, which makes Maryland's law one of the most generous in the United States, and I think that that needs to be noted so that we can give credit to my brothers and sisters in the legislature.
Right.
Thank you.
Any questions for OPC? Okay. Actually, since I have some experience in this process with the Reggie proceeds, if I remember right, the budgetary process is that MEA puts it in as part of their budget, and then it winds up at OHEP. So have you had, you said this was fairly recent information, have you had any discussions with MEA about the mechanics of making this work?
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, no. And I can't speak to the specific process sitting here right now. We have not had the chance to. We discussed this yesterday afternoon, and that's why we sent Mr. Johnston this PowerPoint pretty late this morning. So unfortunately, we haven't yet spoken with anyone about this.
Okay, all right. All right, so let me do this. Before I turn to OHEP, I noticed that at least two of the utilities are in the room. If you've got anything that you'd like to comment on staff's report or OHEP, feel free. But if you don't have anything to say, that's fine too. So, okay, all right, that's fine. So, why don't we turn to the Office of Home Energy Programs to respond to staff's comments, OPC's comments, and then we'll probably have some questions. So.
Good afternoon. The department appreciates the staff's comments and the support of our fiscal year 25 EUSP operations plan. As everyone knows, fiscal year 24 was a very challenging year for this program, and much of our time in the last several months have been around stabilizing operations both at the state level and with our local administering agencies. Categorical eligibility has really changed the way the Office of Home Energy Programs works and makes it really a no wrong door for many of the customers that we were not serving previously but did qualify for benefits. We project to serve with benefits in fiscal year 25 270,000 households, not applications. That's those members that we actually expect to transmit a benefit to help make their energy utility bills more affordable. Obviously, you're well aware of our funding with both the federal LAHEAP allocation for MEEP, as well as the Electric Universal Service Program and the MCEF dollars. Our benefit calculations take into consideration our projections, and we do believe that if our projections are at all accurate, 270,000 households, that we will have money to be able to process applications for the full fiscal year 25. As noted by my colleagues, the downside or the unintended consequence of being able to serve more individuals is that with the same amount of money, or in fiscal year 25, slightly less amount of money than fiscal year 24, the benefit levels have decreased. And we do see a need for households to have a greater proportion of their utility bills assisted with, whether that be through benefit funds or other mechanisms. The Office of Home Energy Programs is designed to help make households' utility bills more affordable, not to cover the entire burden. And we really do see this as a partnership, which is one of the reasons we are recommending also utilizing some of these funds for energy efficiency measures through weatherization. And we are working with the Public Service Commission staff and MEA on looking at solar subscriptions in future years, and are supportive of the Commission's work to be able to introduce some limited income ratepayer mechanisms to also be part of the answer in reducing energy burdens for low-income Marylanders.
Okay. So, questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Schlesman?
Yeah, I do. I was having trouble getting my hand up. Thank you for the report. It was clear and concise, and I definitely appreciate the challenges that OEP has in terms of trying to meet the needs of the low and moderate income communities. And I recognize that there's always going to be limitations in funding, because you're never going to be able to cover the 100% of every, the 270,000 and then probably more bills. So this is definitely a challenge, and I commend you for all the great work you guys are doing in sort of making this happen. I guess my question is, sort of understanding that your mission is to make bills more affordable, I'm thinking about ways to make the bills smaller, because that will make the bills more affordable. And so you are proposing, I think it's 2.5 million for weatherization. That's sort of carried out. Is it carried out by you or DHCD? I'm assuming it's DHCD, but I guess in sort of broader terms, I'd like to sort of talk a little bit or explore a little bit the sort of the ways in which you work with DHCD in terms of the things that they do, weatherization and others, and is there a way in which when somebody comes to you for assistance that you can get them involved in all the other opportunities there are to lower their bills, such as energy audit, and then who would pay for the audit? I mean, that to me seems like sort of that low hanging fruit. That is, as soon as you get somebody to come in, the first thing you'd want to do is to see what's your energy usage and how can we make your your usage lower? How can we sort of help you to lower your bill in a way that is, sort of taps into other programs that are available to the customer that they may not know about?
So the department does partner with DHCD to provide the weatherization services for the customers that receive benefits through OHEP. The $2.5 million in EUSP funds is matched with $2.5 million in LAHEAP, the federal funds as well.
Okay.
Customers, when they apply for energy assistance benefits, have the option to check a box to be referred for energy efficiency weatherization measures. And we do refer a lot of customers to DHCD. Obviously, they also are only able to serve the number of customers that they have available funds to serve. One of the things that I think, looking at this from my lens now as the acting director with the state program and my communication with DHCD, but then also my time as a local director of a community action agency and then also a DSS agency that runs energy assistance programs. A lot needs to be done in terms of educating the public on what weatherization and energy efficiency measures are. I think it's a gap in our outreach and one that we are trying to partner with DHCD to address. I can share that in the month of October, every Saturday, whether that's in Baltimore County, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, Howard County, we will have teams at a BGE resource fair that's comprised of Office of Home Energy Program staff from each of those jurisdictions, Department of Social Services staff from those jurisdictions, and DHCD representatives working together as customers come in to learn about the availability of benefits and apply for energy assistance.
Okay. I mean, this is, it on some level, it's kind of beyond the scope of this proceeding. But, as we sort of continue to work through PC 59, finding ways to sort of leverage opportunities in different areas can help us to lower the bill, so that in the first place we're not throwing money into a bill that is too high, so that we're taking away money that can go to somebody else.
Yeah, I wanted to add that DHS sits on the Green and Healthy Task Force, which is run by DHCD along with other agencies, including MEA. The task force has been looking at the resources that will be necessary to make Maryland homes, especially for low-income households, be more energy efficient. And of course, that's why we are committing $5 million in the resources from DHS to that cause, because we believe essentially in what you are saying. We can both assist customers with the bills today, while we also are reducing the energy burden for the long haul, and then that's very critical. I know that we're contributing to the discussion, of course, and looking at what other resources that exist that we can bring to the table in order to increase funding available for energy efficiency. And so DHCD in our partnership is looking at how might we leverage funding authorized through the Inflation Reduction Act, for instance, right, or the infrastructure bill at the federal level, so that we can bring those more resources to Maryland, so that more customers our shared customers can receive the assistance that they need to retrofit their homes so that they're more energy assistant. So that number one, maybe they no longer need our assistance, and if they do, the energy assistance they need is a lot lower than what it is today.
Right, and please, all the work that you're doing, please make sure that that PC 59, that process is aware of the work that you are doing, because as we look to the right kinds of mechanisms from the utility perspective, we want to have those be able to leverage what you're doing, and we certainly don't want to duplicate the kinds of work that you're doing. And then also, this helps us to identify gaps, places where we're sort of missing opportunities to leverage both the funding that you have available and whatever mechanisms we put in place for the utilities. So that's all I have. Thank you again.
Okay. Commissioner Barbie.
Not so much a question as I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the fact that one of the most prominent members of the legislature, the Speaker Pro Tem, Dana Stein, in his day job, he is the CEO of a not-for-profit whose name is Civic Works. And one of the things that you're aware of him, okay, because he does those audits and he does those retrofits, and he's a person, and I don't just want to put money in his pocket, but it is a not-for-profit. So, there are a lot of companies like that in the Baltimore area, and I'm sure throughout the entire state of Maryland who have that as an expertise, and I know that they would want to partner with you on projects such as these, and I felt compelled to mention it.
Thank you so much, and I do want to recognize the work that Civic Rush does. They do a wonderful job. In fact, we do partner them in providing employment and training to OHIP, SNAP, and other customers within DHS so that they can obtain jobs in the energy efficiency field. So we are aware of their work, we do support their work, and we continue to partner.
I'm very happy to hear that that is the case. Thank you.
Okay, so in recognition of your intake process, which relies, I guess, both on sort of a statewide application, but also the use of local agencies and local governments, some of the background material that I was given indicated that because of the expansion of eligibility, that some of the local offices were overwhelmed by applications. And I guess, I remember when we went through this process last year, in anticipation of that, I remember asking some questions about, was there going to be training and assistance provided to the local offices, because I was concerned about this very situation. Just let me know kind of what's happened to sort of address the intake problem.
Sure. So, one, I think we greatly underestimated the number of households that would be categorically eligible that were not already receiving energy assistance. When January 1st hit, when applications started flowing from the enrollment and eligibility system, which is what processes the SNAP and the cash benefit programs, because of the differences in eligibility, the system on the OHEP side wasn't able to filter out customers that had already received benefits for the current program year. They also weren't able to attach households together. So just for example, if the four of us are living in a household, we could all qualify for SNAP benefits as a head of household as individuals, because each of us are responsible for purchasing and preparing our own food. But in the energy assistance or OHEP world, we are one household of four. And so the system piece wasn't mapped out to correctly do that. So we were getting a lot of applications that couldn't be processed as they came over because there needed to be some additional information to be able to process those applications correctly. The volume And those technical challenges, which we have worked really hard to correct when we began processing fiscal year 25 applications, really did create a huge bottleneck in local agency processing. There was the technical piece, and then also the knowledge of the family investment programs and the differences in eligibility versus energy assistance, that there probably wasn't enough training provided to the local agencies. We think the local agencies that process OPEB benefits, they're also DSS agencies, had a little easier time because of some familiarity with the basic terms and differences and the system, but even the local departments of social services struggled. We are doing really well at this point. I'm a little anxious to say that, but for fiscal year 25, when I check the system every day, almost 80% of the applications that have come in, and it might be a little higher than that, from July 1st have been processed. That's either approved, certified, or denied. And there's a very small percentage of those applications that have actually been denied at this point. So the system mapping and some of the training and technical assistance that we implemented to course correct has shown to be effective. We're going to continue to monitor to make sure our local agencies have the resources to be able to process these applications.
Okay, so I realize you're in a almost impossible position of trying to take the pool of dollars and now spread it over a larger pool of applicants. But I guess my question is, I mean, you commented that, you know, the minimum amount that you're giving in some situations is $25. And, you know, I understand that it's fairly difficult trying to decide, you know, how much money to give to actually make a difference versus not giving anything at all. And I appreciate the comment that it's not your job to pay the whole bill, but just to contribute to it. But I mean, I guess my question is, do you really think that $25 has any real impact for customers?
So the $25 benefit is only for those households that are categorically eligible but exceed the 200% of federal poverty threshold.
Mhm.
So the scenario where we are individual SNAP households,
Mhm.
but a combined and OHEP household, could potentially put us over scale. So prior to categorical eligibility, our household would receive no benefits because we were not income eligible. Because of the way the legislation is written, that any single member of a household that qualifies for SNAP, cash benefits, SSI, or means-tested veterans programs are categorically eligible for SNAP, we are required to give a benefit,
Let's see. Okay.
and hence
Sure.
the minimum benefit of $25.
Okay.
If I might add, you know, DHS does want to provide assistance, the assistance that people need, right? And so we were forced to make these difficult choices around the reduction in benefit because we have a much larger pool of customers who are eligible. I think the choice that we made, which is right, is make sure that we're structuring the benefit levels to ensure that the customers with the higher energy burden receive the most benefit, while those customers with the lower energy burden relative to their income levels receive lower benefits. And so, again, you know, if we had unlimited resources or sufficient resources, we want to provide generous benefit to everyone. But we are where we are today. So.
Okay. And so along the lines of resources, I mean, do you pay close attention to the proceeds from the RIGI auction? I mean, are you contacted about that, or?
So I've only been in the acting role since
sure, I
May
understand.
13th, and I'm also continuing in my role as the director of the Allegheny County Department of Social Services through this transition. So I have been in contact with MEA related to the fiscal year 24 allocation, and we are starting discussions about fiscal year 25, but in terms of following the auctions, no, I have not.
Okay. Because it appears, you know, I guess from what we were told by OPC, that there may be some found money from the RGGI auctions, and as Commissioner Barbe mentioned, I mean, the legislation makes it pretty clear that the first cut of the RGGI proceeds, is aimed at energy assistance. And so, I mean, taking advantage of that, I think, is probably something that you should be doing. I guess the last question I have is, there was a discussion from OPC about determining what the pot of money should be. And I guess the question I have for you is, I mean, is the department prepared to present to the commission and the other parties what amount of money would be needed, over and above the current resources available in order to supply the need?
So I think it would be very difficult. Again, working off of historical data, because of the program's expanded reach, I think it would be very difficult to be able to project with any level of confidence how much money would be needed to serve 270,000 households at the same benefit level as fiscal year 24. We've done a lot of restructuring even in the benefit levels, to Augustine's point, to target those with the greatest energy burden with the highest benefit. So there's those changes, as well as we know just from providing services to low-income households, there is fluctuation in income that could put them at one level or another. And then we also see some fluctuation in what people are using as their primary heat source, depending on their circumstances. So at best, it would be an educated guesstimate.
Well, I actually think that actually might have some usefulness to us. I mean, I know, and speaking for myself, but I think it reflects the view of the commission. We're perfectly willing to, articulate to the powers that be that, maybe something needs to be done to address this effort over and above the resources that are already contributed to it, and maybe the state needs to consider, general funds, adding that to the mix. And I don't want to speak for OPC, but I suspect they may be in the same position, that if we were aware of, what the need is from you, we'd be willing to sort of articulate in support of trying to direct more funds in your direction. So I guess I'd ask you to, to go ahead and make your educated guess.
Yeah, so I think to Courtney's point, I think this past year has been very challenging, and for a number of reasons beyond categorical eligibility. I think that the fact that we had a energy shut-off moratorium that had been in place for quite some time, and which resulted in people accumulating large amounts of energy bills, that they balances on the energy bills. It does make it difficult for us to project. Having said that, I think we're happy to work with this commission and OPC and others to figure that out. And I think that having a full year of implementation of categorical eligibility will tell us a lot. We allow us to collect a good data that we can use to more accurately determine what the trends are, honestly. Because, as you know, we implemented categorical eligibility in January, so any information we have been using to date is now a full. It needs a lot. We need a lot more data, if that makes sense. But I think you're right. We do need to work with you. We need to work with all the other partners to determine if we could resume assistance at the benefit levels of the past year. What would that look like? Sure. And see if we can come up with some preliminary numbers that we can have a conversation about.
Okay, and let me assure you. I mean, we understand that this is a problem or that all of us need to contribute to in trying to solve this. So it's not just on you. We're trying to do our efforts with the proceeding, looking at the charges that are made to see if there's some way to sort of create a special rate for low-income customers based on some legislation that was passed a few years ago. We're highly involved with DHCD, the utilities, under the Empower program, trying to deal with the energy usage and energy management of these customers. And so it's, my view is this actually is a team effort involving lots of state agencies, the public sector, the private sector, all in trying to contribute to this problem, or contribute to the solution to this problem. And so the more information we get as to what the need is, helps us figure out what's the best way to try to address this thing. So again, I'm not, I'm willing to sort of work with you, and to the best that you can advise us as to what the need is, we'll go from there. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other? Okay, so with that, we're going to take this under advisement. We'll get an order out relatively shortly about the plan that you've submitted and any specific requests we have within that. So, but thank you very much.